Hello there, welcome back into the Savage Situation podcast. It's great to have you here. It's not just me this week, obviously. My man Ian Chambers.
What's up, baby? I'm back, baby. Never left. I've just been sitting in this chair all week waiting to come back.
Literally sat in the same position. He's that committed to the show. He's binned off everything else. This is all that matters now.
That's it.
But here, obviously, Ian, on the show, mate, we've talked about getting guests on. We wanted to get people kind of like involved with this thing, and there is no better guest than our first on this new season, this new setup. He's the man with a plan. He's a caster. He's a commentator. He's a presenter, an all-round handsome devil.
Oh.
We love this guy.
Oh.
Leven2K's on the show, baby. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up? Look, I'm gonna be honest, yeah. This is like, I'm in a position where I'm like here with two of like my favorite people, and so it's like, just nothing can really go wrong from here. Do you know what I mean? So whatever happens now, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
I guess the question is now, do we split the room tonight, or are we gonna just kind of like one of us pay for it this time?
I got it,
guys,
this time. I got it.
Can I just say, like, listen, I've been working in esports. I mean, relatively, in comparison to you, Sav, like, you've been working in esports for like 10 years, right? I've been in broadcast for roughly the same amount of time, but getting into esports over the last two and a half years. And Leven is one. I couldn't believe it when I first started working with this guy. Right, I'm thinking he must be somewhere around my age, right? Because number one, he's very articulate. He's very honest, humble, modest. He's got all of the traits that I look for in a good man, right? And I'm thinking, how old is he? And Leven, just for anybody watching this or listening, because you've got fans and listeners and an audience from different sectors now. How old are you, Lev?
I am somewhat unbelievably 19, just 19 years of age.
Christ.
Yeah. Nobody ever
Jesus
believes
Christ.
it. It's
I love it.
yeah.
That's unbelievable, mate. Do you know? I think it says a lot, Lev, that you've done so much so quickly. It's like, it's incredible, man. Because it's a tricky business, but you've gone to the top so quick. I mean, where did it all begin for you? Like, what was your kind of like, you know, at 19? Where was your kind of your gaming entry point? What was the first kind of game you ever played and stuff?
Gaming entry point. Well, I'm gonna have to kick it back a long time. Like I had, you know, like obviously
You're gonna say like the PS3.
No,
like, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't kick it back as far as you, maybe. But like, I remember playing like my PS2 and stuff like that, and you know, I had games there, and I was just always into games. You know, I was always into games, and you know, growing up where I grew up, everyone's like playing FIFA and stuff. So like, you're just forced to play games, otherwise, you know, you can barely fit in, right? But you know, even beyond that, I started to take it a bit more like a bit further. Do you know what I mean? Like people be playing Call of Duty, but I'd want to play Counter-Strike because it was just a bit more hardcore, you know, a bit more difficult.
Yeah.
So I guess that was really it for me. Like I'm really competitive. Like I'm really, really competitive. I don't like losing. I like feeling like I'm the best. I like feeling like I'm, you know, I like feeling like no one can stop me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's where, you know, gaming really pulled me in because it was a place where I felt like I could do that. But then in terms of like getting into esports, I think it would be Call of Duty, right? Because, you know, you have, you know, MLG and they have a bunch of events and stuff like that. But then I was like, I want more. And then Counter-Strike really attracted me, and the esports stuff in Counter-Strike is crazy. Like, it's absolutely massive, and it's been going on for years. Yeah. So, yeah, I think from there, that's when I started getting into esports. But when I got into esports, I had like no ambition of, you know, being a broadcaster or being a presenter or doing anything like that. It was just like, I just want to be good at games, you know?
It's cool, isn't it, Sav? Because like we've spoke about it before, like when you're a gamer and you love video games, and it sounds like Lev, probably in a similar way that me and Sav did when we were growing up, that you dug a little deeper and you scratched deeper than the surface of video gaming because you wanted to get more involved within it. And then when you find the esports industry, the esports world, it's like, oh my word, there's so much for me to do here. There's so much for me to get stuck into. And here you are now, 19 years old. You are one of the lead commentators for FNCS. You're a massive United fan, and I know you're very much involved with the United stuff. We'll get to that.
United.
Oh no, you're both United fans.
Oh, man.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, we're gonna go deep very shortly.
Okay, well we'll get into that in a little bit. But just tell us how you got into Fortnite.
So Fortnite's a weird one because I had two friends at school, because Fortnite came out while I was still in secondary school. Yeah, when I was in like around year 11, I think. And I had two friends who were really on it, like from the get-go. And they were like, you know, Daniel, come back and play. And at that point, I'd actually taken a break from gaming as a whole. Like I just wasn't playing anything. I don't know what I was doing. I wasn't getting, like,
what were you doing on a night?
Now I'm thinking about it, like, I don't know what I was doing, but I literally wasn't playing any games, no console games, no PC games, nothing. They were like,
you telling me you had a life for a small period?
For a small period of time, I had somewhat of a life.
Shame on you for having a life. I mean, honestly, come on.
It's kind of sad. It is kind of sad. But nah, I just remember them really like getting onto me to play it, and I was just like, nah, like I'm not interested. Like I was just like, no, I just don't care. I'll be honest. But it got to like the Christmas break, right? And at Christmas break, I had just nothing better to do. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll jump on. And it was just magical. I'd never played a game like that. I'd played Battle Royales before, Minecraft, Hunger Games, H1Z1, just whatever. But this was just different. Fortnite was just different. And then the building components were sick. And I really enjoyed it because of all my friends, I was the best, right? So instantly there was an instant attraction there. Like I could like, you know what I mean? Like you can sort of flex and be like big man, everybody dies, but they rely on you to clutch up and you had that, I had that pride there. But just like always with other games, I was like, I want to be better. And so I started like YouTubing and Googling Fortnite, how to improve. And I noticed everybody was on PC, like all the good people at least were on PC. I was playing on console because all my friends were console players, but I quickly switched over to PC and I just kept grinding. I'd play like squad games like on Phil, so you're just playing with random people. And one day I play a squad Phil game and there's this American guy on my team. This American guy, very out. So he was pretty drunk, right? Like he was just very outspoken, just, talking.
It's the best way to play Fortnite, just waste it.
True. And I carried him to a win and he was like so ecstatic. Like he was so happy. He was like, I've got to get you on my team. I've got a pro EU team. I'm going to get you on there. I'm getting you on there. Add me right now. I'm going to get you on Discord. We're going to get you in a pro team. And I'm like, sure, I didn't even know there was like a pro scene. Sure, like I'm going to be a pro Fortnite player. That's sick. And I get involved. And at the time, the pro scene was really small, but like it was good because it introduced me to a lot of people who, some of them are still around now. Some great Fortnite players, like people like, Mr. Savage and, Benji Fishy and Mongra, all of those guys were around back then. But I got introduced to a lot of people and I just started getting involved in the pro scene and, meeting people, making connections really. Was never really that good, was never as good as the other top players, but I could hang in. Do you know what I mean? I could stay afloat.
Yeah.
And eventually when I did decide to like start doing other things outside of actually trying to compete, because I had relationships with those pro players, it meant that like they were familiar with me, they knew me. So it's like, oh, if I wanted to do an interview with a pro, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's Leven, yeah, that's my guy. I'll do the interview. Whereas like nobody was getting people to do interviews with pro Fortnite players at the time. So it sort of gave me a bit of an advantage being able to get with that. But nah, just in general, man, getting into Fortnite was there's no game like it. Do you know what I mean? There's no game like it. So it was always going to be good.
I remember when it first dropped on the I think it was I was the same on PlayStation. It was a free game, wasn't it? It just came out of nowhere, and it was like in beta. It was in beta for like God knows how many months, years. Is it still in beta? I think it is. I have no idea.
The beta thing was really good by them because I think with the beta thing, I don't know if it still applies now, but the beta thing meant that they could keep updating the game weekly, whereas other big games can't do that because if you're like an official release game, you can like you have to. The process of making updates to your game is really long with like PlayStation and Xbox and all these like companies. But if you're a beta, you can like update stuff weekly. And so I remember a quote from like another dev going, we can't keep up with Fortnite. They can just update their game every week and like we're just screwed. Like we have to wait months or some shit. So yeah, they're really smart at the beta thing.
I always look back and I think maybe I could have been great at Fortnite. But the other reason is because I was a PUBG guy. So like, I was playing a lot of PUBG. I don't know if they came out at similar times, but I remember just playing PUBG thinking, this is like Fortnite's for kids. I was like, it's too bright, it's too colorful. Whereas I just want to be running and gunning and like, it just feels a lot more like the real world in PUBG. But then as soon as I started fully playing Fortnite, I completely got it, completely understood it. Before you know it, I'm buying skins left, right, and center and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I get it. It's quite addictive, isn't it, Sav?
Mate, I think it absolutely is. I think the reason I think as well that that actually worked in its favor as well, because obviously comparatively to other kind of I guess like the Counter Strikes and Call of Duties and such, the player base is younger, and to a degree, I mean, even the major, we saw that with the World Cup and such as well. Yeah, I think it was 12 years old was the kind of like or 14 maybe was that kind of like the age. Leven might correct me there, to get into 13. Actually. It was 13, right? So, which is significantly younger than a lot of other esports titles. It's similar to Overwatch in the sense that it's kind of like, because it's animated and it is the style that it is, it's not kind of seen. It's like how Call of Duty has like a zombies mode, whereas you can show zombies mode sometimes to like a live audience because it's kind of seen as like fantastical violence. It's not like kind of like real. And also, I think that for creators as well, a lot of creators, and similar to you boys, you got a lot of friends in that kind of YouTube space. Because Fortnite, because of how colorful it is and was, every thumbnail, every video just bangs, it pops, it draws you in. So it kind of had all these different kind of elements going for it, which made it so lucrative to basically every single audience. Because if you wanted a hardcore, kind of those who kind of really hardcore play on a professional level, like Leven mentioned, kind of the Benjis and Mr. Savages and such as well, you're going to watch their content, but you could also watch kind of casual stuff. I was sucked in massively by like kind of the Nikkei 30 squads and the courage and kind of Tim the Tapman, all these kind of guys who were kind of like doing these crazy rocket shots like out of the storms, and like Noah J, all these kind of guys. You just watch. It was just insane because it was so fun to watch. But then it got very, very difficult, right? People were playing it very, very seriously, Lev. Like it was a different game suddenly.
It got sweaty.
It got sweaty, mate. Got sweaty.
Yeah, and I think it's tough because I don't think Epic would have ever predicted what the building mechanics would be. I think they like came up with the building stuff and they thought this is genius. Like people are going to be building castles and forts to protect themselves. Like no, like that's just not what it is at all. Like people took that and just accelerated it so far, and it's tough because I think the beauty of Fortnite, even me, as much as I still love the game, the beauty of Fortnite was like back then when nobody was really good, anybody could win. Like you could just play the game for the first time and win one of your first couple games, right? Whereas now that's probably a bit harder, even with them, like I think adjusting skill-based matchmaking or whatever. But like, yeah, the game advanced really quickly and it got very difficult. And I think, some people, I think that made it hard for some people, but at the same time, for a lot of people, it was like, I want to improve. Like I want to be like these pro players I'm watching. I want to be like these guys I'm watching. But then again, like even if you find it difficult, you have to appreciate how just magical of a mechanic it is. Like there's nothing like the building mechanics in Fortnite, and the skill that it takes. Like the skill gap with it is nuts. Like it is so difficult. You're doing so many actions per second, per minute. It's insane.
And then every so often you got to fire off. Like, this is what I found fascinating. How far can you go, do you think, as a Fortnite player without really, really superb building mechanics? If you're just a good gun technician, how far can you go?
Not very far. Not very far at all. But
well, that's it for me then.
Yeah, that's it, Ian. That's it. Those dreams are over, my friend. But you know what? Okay, here's a question as well. How much of an impact do you think that one night where Ninja and Drake teamed up as a duo, what impact do you think that had? Not just on Fortnite, but on gaming in general? Because I think a lot of people see that as like kind of like the big bang to a degree of, because suddenly gaming went from being, I think personally, from being this kind of quite nerdy kind of like geek culture-y kind of like medium that kind of a lot of people did but didn't really talk too much about, to suddenly being mainstream. Freaking Drake's playing a game and loves Ninja. I mean, it changed the face of gaming, I reckon, to some degree, right? Yeah,
nah, I 100% agree, because you put it perfectly, right? Like things, I don't know how to describe the mainstream, but the mainstream just exists as this, like loop, and it goes round and round, and what is in mainstream changes at different points in time. But that really, it didn't just put Fortnite as, mainstream. It didn't just make Fortnite mainstream. It made gaming as a whole. Like you said, it made people look at gaming a bit differently. And props to Ninja, because he was a great link for that, right? Going out and doing a bunch of things in the more mainstream world and showing people that, gamers shouldn't be stereotyped. Because at the end of the day, even before that, like so many people play games that we were at a point where that had to have come at some point. Do you know what I mean? Like people had to stop looking at gaming and gamers as being, nerdy or whatever, because it's not like, or even if we are nerds.
It's cool, man. Games are cool, okay?
Even if we are nerds, like, we they're still cool. You can get a nerd and be cool. You know what I mean?
It's so true. Look, and listen, I don't want to interrupt you, Leven. I want to get right back to your point. But do you not think there's an argument that because people like Drake and other mainstream people and acts in the world have made gaming a little bit cooler, that people who didn't grow up as gamers are trying to get in on the action and just want to be part of it and want to be cool.
Yeah.
But they're sort of taking the spots of people who genuinely have a love for the industry, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, it just happens, man, because so many things like become mainstream at different points. Like, I know like right now it feels like anime is becoming quite mainstream. Like people are becoming more accepting of anime, whereas like in the past, if you said, "Hey, yo, I watched anime," like people are looking at you like, "What are you on about?" Do you know what I mean? So I think you know it always happens, but I'm fine with it. I'm fine with more people being introduced to gaming. I think you know that's my approach to almost everything. Where it's like if I love something, like I love gaming, I want to introduce other people to it so that they can feel the love and the passion I have for it. It's the reason why, like, even with other things, I'm sure we'll get to some of the stuff like, you know, when there's like, you know, toxic football fans and toxic fans of Man United. So I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I love this. Like, I want to share this love with other people. I don't care if they're, you know, didn't grow up in Manchester or if they're from another side of the world and they didn't grow up playing football. I don't care if you never played a game growing up and whatever. Like, if you want to now, like, I'm fine with that. Like, that's sick. That's amazing that you get to...
Sav, this is what I mean. I can't believe this guy's 19.
Yeah. Honestly, mate, you've got a wise man. I think that's the thing is a very good point. I think a lot of it is a generational thing, though, man. I've always had my finger on I like to think finger on the kind of the pulse of what's going on kind of across the board, really. I think with like growing up, like a lot of my friends growing up just did not touch games, and still to this day don't really play games. I get the odd text being like, "Oh, is this game good? Should I get the new Assassin's Creed?" I'm like, "If you want, mate, like, you know, whatever." But at the same time, like, you know, you get like, you probably when you were at school and you were competing with your pals there, and you're kind of like I think gaming was probably a lot more prevalent. Like everyone was playing games together regularly, and I think that's the thing is with particularly like with football fans and with there's a lot of sport fans. A lot of the fans are from 40 plus, you know, and I think there is that kind of that rivalry, that kind of like that, you know, is such a big part of it. Whereas for us, like, you know, particularly for your demographic, there, Lev, like it's just not a thing anymore. You celebrate games, you celebrate being part of something and wanting to, it's a good thing. You know, I think we all got behind the country when it came to the Euros recently. Everyone was loving it, and suddenly the final happened. The next morning, it was like, oh, back to square one.
Yeah,
you know, here we are again, back to square one. If not, we're in negative equity.
You know what? You're right, and I think Leven, you really touched on something amazing in regards to the whole, you know, sharing what you love. It's almost a throwback to the days when me and Sav were growing up. Like we keep talking about like we're really old, Sav, but you know, when multiplayer gaming back then, it was all about inviting your friends round to share your experience and like. It was, come on, let's play GoldenEye on our N64. Get your three mates around that you know you can beat, because that was competitive. I'll tell you now, Lev. When you're four teenagers sweating in a little bedroom trying to smoke each other on GoldenEye, that's real competition. But back then it was all about sharing, and there was no negativity about it all back then, Sav.
Yeah,
it's
true.
Almost like, and there's parallels to take between us and what Lev's talking about here, I think.
Yeah. FIFA back in the day, like my first console really was like the Super Nintendo was really where I flourished. That was for me was like the absolute one. And I love the fact as well on the Switch. I mean, we talk about the Switch all the time here because I know you're a massive fan, but like the fact that you can actually get like kind of like the inbuilt emulators in the Switch now for like NES and SNES games is freaking awesome. Like that's really great. They've got a Zelda A Link to the Past on there. Absolute gold.
You don't even know what that is, do you, Lev?
I don't.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, mate. Okay, that's your homework, Leven. Zelda A Link to the Past. I'm sure the fans that will be listening going, yeah, get on it immediately.
Yeah, I will.
But we go full circle back to you know, being involved in games, and you kind of had that kind of ascension to kind of like meeting the pros, because networking is so important, I think, in gaming in general, like just meeting people in the same space and growing your kind of network of, you know, kind of be it pro players or casters, talent, whatever it might be. But mate, full circle, there you are, you go round, and suddenly recently you have your own bundle on Fortnite.
Taco Tuesday!
bro, like that's another level.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy. Like tell us how that all came about, dude. Like how was that a thing?
How was it? Like, how was it? It is. I don't even understand. Even till now, I don't really get how I was in a position to even have that, because you look at it and, you know, I saw like when it got leaked into the game files and, you know, you have all these leakers like talking about it, you know, I saw someone tagged me in a post where someone was like, yo, like Leven2K is like the smallest ever created to get one, like, you know, and I'm looking at her like, yo, yeah, when you look at all the people who have gotten bundles, realistically, like if you're just looking at numbers, I shouldn't be on that list. Do you know what I mean? Like, straight up.
It's not about numbers, bro. It's not about numbers. It's about the people.
That's the thing of Fortnite. That's the beauty of Fortnite, right? Like, I'm very fortunate because even, you know, I've been doing all the broadcast stuff and it's been really great for me as someone who's, you know, in uni and I'm looking like, you know, I don't really want to do uni. I want to be able to do this as a career. Like Fortnite's giving me that opportunity. But then to get the bundle was just sick because, you know, I have, you know, my little cousins who play Fortnite who see it and they're like, yo, wait, Daniel, that's you. Wait, that's your name. Like, you got my friends who I started playing with jumping back on the game and they're like, hold on a minute. How's this happen? Like we used to, you know, we used to stay up at midnight every day to see what would be in the item shop. And now I'm staying up at midnight to see what's in the item shop and it's you. Like it's nuts.
I talked about it last week, like a little briefly, but like obviously, and Lev, you know, so FNCS, right? So I've joined obviously the as an analyst now and kind of across NAE. But when I first came on for that one day to kind of cover all regions, when our man Zeke, who's the main host of FNCS, when he was away, first person to DM me to welcome me to the squad, my boy Leven2K, straight in there being like, welcome in, brother. I was like, I love this guy. I think about like the progression with FNCS and there, you know, there we all were in Party Royale, I mentioned last week, kind of our faces kind of in the screens. And there we are, people throwing tomatoes and all kinds of stuff. But it's a different thing from having yourself beamed into the game like that compared to actually having an epic designed bundle specifically for you. That, like, do they just like DM you and be like, hey, dude, we're going to do this thing? Like, how do you even know about it?
Yeah, so you on a Sundown reached out to me about it, and it was just from there. It was just like, you know, do you want to be a part of this? Because with the Taco Tuesday thing, a lot of it is sort of linked because it's sort of carrying over from the Lebron stuff that they did, right? Because they had Lebron when they got him in the game, and he has his old Taco Tuesday stuff, and even when they added his skin, they gave him a style where his shirt just had a bunch of tacos on it, and so it was just sort of like carrying over for like, do you want to be a part of this? And like they sent me a bunch of stuff to do with LeBron as well, which was really cool. And
let's talk about the crown.
The crown.
Let's talk about the crown because I'm going through Twitter one day and I'm always seeing what Leven's up to. And there's a video of you receiving a large crate.
Yeah.
And inside of that is LeBron's crown, right?
Yeah.
And that was sent to you by the guys at Epic, right?
Yeah. And my mum was so confused at first because she was the one that like got the package. So she's like, what is this? And even when I opened it, I didn't know because I didn't know I was getting that. So like I was a bit like, what? Like, what is this? But no, that was sick as well. Like, and that's just something to sort of keep hold of, you know? Like that's something that, you know, there's not many. I know they sent a couple to a couple other creators, but it's like there's not many of those in the world. So that's going to be like,
I mean, you're not going to sell it, are you?
Well, no,
but you could.
not.
I reckon
like
you got. I reckon exactly. It is like an Oscar, but you will have people out there right now who would pay, I imagine, a good whack of cash for that.
Yeah, I'm sure they would, but they're not going to be able to pay for they're not going to be able to give that to me.
Let's talk after this, Lev.
Yeah.
Do they? I mean, that's a good question. Like, obviously, I mean, did you see a massive spike in your support creator as well? Was that like a big thing? Obviously, was it mental?
You're not allowed to talk about that, right? But
we'll use that face as a thumbnail just for the conversation, like for the whole podcast. Well, no, I mean, as you said, like, you know, the thing is as well, like, you know, being associated with like a star like LeBron James, who's like, you know, kind of like if not the most famous like basketball player currently playing, I guess, to a degree. Like he is like the guy. Yeah, the guy's the star of Space Jam. Only Michael Jordan did that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like it must feel for you as well. Like such a massive. I guess to some degree you're kind of thinking you'll look back in like a year and think, dude, that was nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
what really happened?
Just happened?
Yeah. You got some kicks as well, didn't you? Right?
Yeah. They sent me a pair of trainers. I think I have them here. I can probably get them.
You got to show us.
Yeah, give me a second.
Go and get them.
If you're listening to this, if you're listening just to the audio of this podcast, you can check us out on YouTube, right, Sav?
Great. Mate, that is the absolute segue plug of the century. Yes, you can. Savage Situation Podcast on YouTube, man. You can actually see these absolute... brother. What?
The thing is, right, listen, I'm just going to... As a massive sneakerhead... Like, I've got a huge collection of Jordan 1s. And when it comes to, like, basketball trainers, I just think Jordan 1s are the ultimate. And I thought these might be too ugly. But I would rock these. I would rock these.
And
you've got a frame or mount those or so. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, and it's sick because if you watch Looney Tunes and all that stuff, right? Like, the color theme is based off of that. So it's, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. Right.
Oh man.
And so it has like the beep beep on it from Roadrunner. Like
stop beep beep. Yeah. What size are they?
So size 14. I'm 6'8". I'm 6. People don't know I'm 6'8".
You're 6'8".
Yeah. 6'8". Jesus. Hold on. Let me just check something.
6'8". You're like Hercules. Jesus.
Do you know what? It makes me feel so rubbish about myself because I just wish I was 11. So just so you're aware, right? LeBron James is 6'8". So if you ever came face to face with LeBron to talk about all the things that have been going on with you and Fortnite and him and Space Jam, just two successful men face to face, eye to eye, you would literally be toe to toe, eye to eye, same height. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I play basketball, right? Because being young and like being taller than everyone else, like I just got pushed into. Even though like I obviously did a bunch of football, I got pushed into basketball, and so like I'm actually like a massive LeBron fan. I think that was like the main appeal when like Epic were reaching out because they knew I was like a massive LeBron fan. So like
you're a Lakers fan.
Yeah. But that's the thing as well, right? Which is like I know this isn't a basketball podcast or anything, but I was a Laker fan before LeBron went to the Lakers. So people, people would look at it, yeah. People would look at it and they'll go, "Oh, of course, man." Like but people don't realize how good of a moment that was for me. My favorite player is joining my favorite team. Like that was like the best day of my life. But now like people will go like, "Oh, cool, she supported the Lakers. Of course she did." But come on, man.
So what did you do with your Miami Heat jersey? Did you throw it away?
Never had a Miami Heat jersey. I never had a Miami Heat jersey.
I'm kidding.
But you could definitely put it into like context. Like for instance, if you're like because there are only a few people in different sports you kind of support regardless of the team. You just love the person.
Yeah.
And you think about like Ronaldo, obviously when he went from United to Madrid, and they had like 80,000 fans, I think it was in the Bernabeu, who turned up, whatever it was, just to see him walk onto the pitch and wave to say, "I play for you now."
Yeah.
Like people, like you can feel that the energy of just loving a player so much, they join your team. That must just it must be such a magic moment. Like it must be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm forgetting about the Cavs as well. He came from the Cavs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He did come from the Cavs there, but
yeah, you're looking forward to Space Jam 2? Because it's a tough one to follow. I always think sequels of iconic films are very difficult to follow up, and he's got some big shoes to fill, literally.
But that's the problem. It can never fill those shoes. And I've watched it, right? I watched it with a couple of my friends. And look.
You watched what?
Space Jam 2?
I've
watched Space Jam 2. I watched it.
How have you seen Space Jam 2?
What do you mean how I've seen it? I went to the cinema and watched it.
It's out the movies, bro.
Yeah.
It's out now?
Yeah, it's been out. Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
I think you're living in the past. Have you taken any rides in DeLoreans recently? And
it's on now. I could go to cinema and see it today.
Yeah, you can. You should go today.
All right. Oh, so sorry. Talk me through it. What's it like, guys?
Well, look, the big thing I'd say is it is a kid's movie. Like I've seen people being so critical of it, and I'm like, it's a kid's. It's not even for you. Like the only reason people of my age or older are watching it is because of like the sentimental value of like we watched Space Jam 1. You watch the sequel to it, but like, don't watch it like as a movie. And when you were a kid watching it, you weren't an analyst watching it. It was just a kid's movie, and you liked it, and you hold it dear to your heart. Like, don't come now watch Space Jam 2 and be like, the acting here wasn't good, and that plot doesn't really make too much sense. Like, no, like don't do that. Like, you know what I mean? I literally sat there, like knowing it's a kid's movie, and I just enjoyed it. Like me and my friends are just we're not being rude in the cinema, but we are sort of like giggling away at certain things at each other because like this is ridiculous. But like you enjoy it, and there's a lot of basketball references in it naturally. So I got a lot of those, and that makes it a bit funnier as well. So I enjoyed it. I've seen people be critical of it, but I don't think you should be. Like it's a great kids movie. I'm sure the kids of today will love it.
My attitude's changed about movies now. Like I go to the cinema and I just want to be entertained
Yeah.
to a degree. I don't really care about like unless it's a film that I'm really passionate about. Like I talked about like Indiana Jones last week, and the next one better be damn good.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be, but it better be. But unless you're really passionate about like kind of like the legacy of a kind of like a series, like don't get me started on Star Wars. There's a lot of like fans hate it. Like yeah. But the most recent kind of trilogy just it was just horrendous. Yeah. But at the same time, like you get you want to go to a movie. I mean, when you go to see it like Space Jam, you know what you're in for. Like that you're going to go and watch a movie, which I mean, the majority of the cast are freaking animated, mate. Like they're cartoons.
Do you know what? I'm gonna throw a curveball in here. I think Space Jam 1 was enjoyable for both adults and kids. I feel like there was a lot of stuff that was tailored for a more mature audience back then. Some of the casting, the plot as well. Like I feel like I could watch Space Jam today and thoroughly enjoy it. Would I be able to, Leven? Even though I didn't know it was out, which is my bad. Would I be able to watch Space Jam 2 on my own as a man, 33 years old, and fully enjoy it?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can go and watch it and you would enjoy it, but I don't think so. And I think if that's like if that's your criticism, I think that's fair. Like because I obviously with Space Jam 1, I was a kid watching it, so I don't know what it feels like to have watched it like if you were an adult. And I've not really heard that perspective much. But if that's true, then fair enough. But
Sav, do you think it comes down to just nostalgia? Is that why we still like it, or do you think it was tailored towards a more mature audience back then as well as kids? Because when you back then it was like it's a family film, so it needs to appeal to 6-year-olds. And
I think you've got to take into consideration the timing of the movie as well. I remember when there was an older movie, and some older listeners will remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit, right? That came out when it was like, I don't know if you've seen that at all, Leven, but it's by the look of your face, you haven't. But basically, it's
Leven, Google like, Jessica Rabbit.
Google Jessica Rabbit for sure. But it's basically, it was one of the first movies ever to kind of like combine animation with like a storyline. Like Bob Hoskins, it had like Christopher Lloyd. It's a classic kind of movie where you've got like it was. Wait, why making that face? Like. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a classic, bro.
He's just seen Jessica Rabbit. That's why he made that.
Oh, is that the face? Right, good. Okay, cool. Right, that was a cartoon character. Well, she is a cartoon character.
We all still have a crush on.
That we all still adore all these years later. But I mean, that's one of the first times it happened, like the animation, kind of like live action kind of crossover. I think Space Jam in that moment as well was kind of part of that same kind of like hysteria. Like you've got actual cartoons with Michael Jordan the movie. Nowadays in 2021, we're used to seeing like some of the craziest nutty stuff on movies ever, and I think you kind of have to, the kind of like the animation, kind of like LeBron James kind of element isn't really anywhere near as hype as it was back in the 90s, because we're used to seeing kind of
that's true
so much kind of crazy. So you have to kind of in a way you got to kind of rely on the kind of plot in some ways, because the actual what was the kind of unique or the USP, unique selling point about the original one isn't really the same as it was now. So that's
in other words,
the difference.
Leven, you'll never understand this, but the 90s were amazing.
Yeah. I'm told often that I missed out, unfortunately.
Something about the 90s, obviously we referenced it earlier on, but that was when I found my love for the Red Devils, Manchester United, dude. Like that was when I found my squad, I found my team. Yeah. As you can tell from my Mancunian accent. Obviously had to support them. You're the same, Lev, I can tell.
Yeah.
What tell us about your recent kind of like the recent joining of this of the it's the United Stand podcast, right? Because I remember you tweeting kind of saying you were featuring kind of like as a guest speaker, because I've seen you tweet loads about football, and that's why I love kind of chatting to you and kind of and keeping up to date with all your kind of social stuff as well, because you kind of bridge that kind of sport and gaming two mediums together. You kind of do both, which is really interesting to me. So you've joined the United Stand, obviously the team that I support as well. But how did you get on that in the first place? And what's it been like suddenly going from Fortnite to Man United every week?
So I think this to me, I think for me, this is even a crazier story than a lot of the Fortnite stuff, because I just watched the United Stand. The United Stand's like the biggest Manchester United fan channel that there is, right? And they do a lot of content there. And I've been watching them for just over a year now. Me and my friends have all sort of been watching them for a similar timeline. And on one of the videos a couple of weeks ago, like on a Sunday, right? I'll give you the timeline of the week. So on a Sunday, right, the main guy on the channel, Mark Goldbridge, he's massive. He does so much stuff now. He's just huge. He does a video, and in the video he goes, we're looking for, some new people to join the channel, some new presenters and whatnot. Send a 1 minute clip into XYZ email, right? And so, me and all my friends watched that video on that day, and I say to my friends, should I just send in a clip? Like, why not? Do you know what I mean? Like, just a bit of banter. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And so, I sent in the clip, and I remember, like, in the video, you said, we'll get back to people in a couple of weeks. There's so many requests and whatnot. Like, it's going to be a while for us to get through them. And I sent my clip in. The next day, I get like an automated email, like, we've received your clip. Thank you very much for sending it in, blah, blah, blah. So, cool. Probably have to wait a couple of weeks. Later that day, I get an email, but it's like directed from Mark himself. And he's like, yo, bro, loved your clip. Do you want to come on the show tomorrow?
What?
You love those moments?
I was like, what? And I didn't believe it. Like, genuinely, I was so confused. And so I'm showing it to my friends, and I was like, guys, what is this? And as I'm showing it to them, I just see on Twitter, Mark Goldbridge followed you. I was like, whoa,
what?
okay. I was like, okay, this is actually a thing now. And I went on the show. It was sick. It was absolutely sick. People were really supportive, people were really nice. People liked me, I guess. And from there, I've just been doing it a lot recently. I'm actually like a part of the channel. So at first it was like I was just kind of like a guest, right? But I am actually now like a presenter on the channel. I'm a part of the channel, which is really cool.
Can we just, come on.
Yeah.
Let's just,
right.
Leven, like, to you, when you say these things, you might be like, oh, this feels like a bit of a surprise or whatever. Whereas me and Sav are just sitting here thinking, of course, he got a 1-minute video of you and thought, I need to sign this guy up. Like, it's not a surprise to me. And the good thing is, I've seen as well across, like, I've checked out some of the videos, and, I know I keep blowing smoke up your ass, but, like, really articulate, full of knowledge, and then all the comments are very supportive. You've been welcomed with open arms by the United fan base.
Yeah, and it's cool because for me, even with like the Fortnite stuff, it's hard because Fortnite's only been around for a certain amount of time, whereas it's like with football and talking about United, I've been doing that my whole life. So do you know what I mean? Like, that's the one place where I have more experience than almost anything else. So it does come quite naturally, and I enjoy it, but it's different. It's different. The communities are very different.
Is it quite toxic comparatively to, like, I guess because Fortnite, obviously, we're lucky to work together on a bunch of stuff from DreamHack to Twitch Rivals and FNCS, obviously, as well. And there is obviously a lot of drama that happens with players, and particularly like recently, like lots of trios switching up and snaking, all kinds of different stuff been going on. And you kind of, there is this element of like, there's a lot of people who kind of watch that kind of, are trying to kind of keep on top of who's going where and what's happening and kind of different creators. But it is a very different, as we mentioned this earlier on, a very different demographic, different kind of like setup from a fan basis when it comes to football. Because again, that generational aspect where you've got like, Fortnite, most people who kind of follow Fortnite, play Fortnite are probably under the age of 25. Let's be kind of, really. But I would say football, it kind of ranges all the way from like there all the way up to like 67, like older people.
Yeah.
You must get a lot of very passionate fans who are very old school in the way that they view the club and the highs and lows of certain situations.
Yeah, and you definitely feel it. Like, you feel the difference. Even like, to the day, like, I signed, right, with the United, and like I announced on Twitter and stuff, like, you get people who, like, there's a lot of people who are just like against that kind of stuff, like against fan content and fan channels and things of that nature. Like, there's a load of people that get that, who hate it. And a lot of them are quite like older fans. You'll click on someone's bio and they're like, been following the Reds up and down the country for 50 years. I'm like, flipping hell, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, flipping hell. Like, I respect you in it, but bloody, like, do you know what I mean? And these people just hate it. So you get people, like, as much as there's been loads of love, and there's been way more love than there ever will be hate, but you do get more hate than like in something like Fortnite. Because in Fortnite, you'll see, the odd, like, you're rubbish.
Can we talk about that, Lev?
Yeah.
Just briefly, like, as a guy who has been in some way, shape or form broadcasting for quite a long time now. I remember the first time I ever did a radio show. I was filling in for somebody on a breakfast radio show, very popular duo, and the male counterpart was on holiday, so I came in and made my debut. And in the same way, if you're on a Twitch channel or you're reading YouTube comments, we have like this screen that comes up where people text in to say, like, make requests or like just have opinions on things we're talking about. And immediately it's like, this guy's voice makes me want to jump on the bridge. Just like, his accent's horrendous. And I'm sitting there going, what do you mean? And then the mics come back up and I've got to be like, Ed Sheeran there or whatever, like... So I guess what I'm trying to say is at 90, you become accustomed to it, right? The more you work within an industry where you get critical feedback from trolls for all the time. At 19 years old, how have you learned to handle and deal with that?
Sink or swim. Do you know what I mean? It is genuinely sink or swim. And it's like, if I wasn't able to handle that, I think Fortnite helped because I did get a bit of that in Fortnite. Like, you know, I'd get the odds, oh, this guy's voice is awful, get him off the broadcast. Like, so you sort of, you know, you're used to it. So now when I see the comments, I'm just like, yeah, fair. Like, not everybody can like me. Not everyone can like my voice. It is just what it is. Some people will choose not to like me. I think the big thing is, though, is like I'd love to see things done to help creators in the future, because I think of it as like, if I had never done Fortnite stuff and I never had experience with people hating me, like, it might be quite hard. You know what I mean? Like, I can imagine it'd be quite hard, because if you're not accustomed to large amounts of people saying they don't like you, like, that could, you know what I mean? That could affect you. Even with, like, you could have 1,000 good comments, but the 10 bad comments you read can really upset you. You know what I mean?
It's human nature, isn't it, Sav? Like, unfortunately, and it's a very dangerous game to be part of, especially at a young age, to have to deal with criticism. And none of it's real criticism. It's hate. It's hate. Really, isn't it? But because even if both of you, right, you were watching somebody online that you didn't potentially, I don't know, agree with or didn't like the way they broadcast or their style, you would never attack them. You would never say anything negative to them, because it's just not human decency. Sav, how have you dealt with it over the years?
Well, I mean, do you know what? I'm actually quite lucky that it's not been quite.
Everybody loves you.
Yeah, everyone. How can you
I'm
not?
just one of those people. All right. No. I think you know, for me, it's like there have been moments where you get criticised. It's usually for things like the thing that I think would hurt the most is someone said to me, you don't know what you're talking about, or like or you shouldn't be there because you haven't got the same. You know, I had massive imposter syndrome kind of joining the FNCS squad, because suddenly as an analyst, you know, going from being a host, suddenly thinking, oh Jesus, I need to know the ins and outs of everything now. This is a whole different ballpark. But you kind of evolve and you grow, and then you kind of, you know, have to deal with the situation why you're brought on in the first place, and you adapt, basically. So I think for me, if I've ever had any kind of criticism, you do have to have a thick skin to it and kind of like, you know, kind of try and move past it, and to see, you know, because it's you know, we're all the same, you know, for every 100 nice things or comments you get, the one negative's the thing that you focus on, because even though it's like someone said, you're amazing, someone else could say, I didn't like you in that. That's the thing you think about.
Yeah.
You know, go back to the voice thing, Levin. Not all of us could melt butter like with a voice like yours, so you're quite lucky. But you know, it's so anyone who doesn't like it, don't know what they're talking about. But at the same time, yeah, it is hard. You do have to be kind of, I guess, very. You have to really understand that when you put yourself out there on camera, or kind of like, you know, your voice out there, or have your opinion out there, people are going to jump on it at points, and they are going to try and have, you know, some people have made careers out of actually trying to be toxic and destroy people online through, you know, kind of be, you know, or your videos on YouTube, or kind of, you know, on Twitch, whatever it might be. People kind of see that there is a lot of hype around that about breaking people down who they think shouldn't be there, or just for fun, or just because they know it'll get views or whatever it is. So it's kind of a really tough one, really. But
so we all just in unison just say F the haters, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
F the haters.
Absolutely.
F the haters.
Lev, when you in a career such as yours, and like, you know, it's not a traditional career when you're embarking on in a career in esports, when you are, you know, 25, 28, where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing? Will Fortnite still be played in 10 years' time?
I want to be like Sav.
Huh?
Oh yeah, that's a good. You want kids?
Oh,
you want to be doing a podcast with someone who's 19? I feel it.
No, honestly though, like when I saw the video of Sav, yeah, you know, with his son, and like, so, you know, he's talking about England and these buzzing, I'm just like, I want to be that kind of happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Mate,
think,
that's so sweet, dude.
I think the main thing is that, like, I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I think the big thing for me is I just enjoy like talking and giving my opinion, and like, and I want to be able to do that, whatever it is I'm interested in at the time. I want to be able to have like a large platform to do that. So I'm not too fussy about what it is. If it's still Fortnite, yeah. If it's another game, if it's basketball, if it's, you know, tennis, I don't care. I just want to be able to do that and keep doing that, because, you know, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Plus the fact as well, you know, as you say, I think being so young, that is an amazing, you know, thing to you know, to be in this position so early on, because, you know, to have influence in any capacity, be it with, you know, United with the podcast, be it with Fortnite or whatever as well. I think as time goes on, a lot of people do tend to migrate from you know, because with all things, you know, I've seen games where people are, you know, for instance, Counter-Strike's one of those games like you mentioned earlier on, where there is a massive talent pool. There's a lot of people who want to be part of the broadcast teams, and there's a lot of events that, mind you, and a lot of people get a chance to kind of do different things. But I think naturally people might, talent might grow in a different game, or kind of find a battle royale in general is an amazing kind of, format or, genre, because you mentioned H1Z1 and all these kind of other kind of iterations like PUBG. There's tons of different battle royale games, but going back to grassroots, that you Call of Duty, there's times that an opportunity might come up, you think, yeah, I fancy that. I could definitely get myself into that and kind of try that instead. I started my career way back in the day when I was trying to get into like being, on like MTV and these kind of like platforms, thinking I could talk about music. And I remember those times I was like, I wanted to get into MTV, or there's an old TV show in the UK called T4, kind of like this kind of magazine show. Yeah. T4, man, there was like 7 or 8 presenters who were like the core, and this was like before YouTube was a thing, and they were like the ones that everyone wanted to be, because they were like a really select few people who were able to kind of be on TV every single weekend, kind of interviewing all the stars. It was amazing. And then there was an opportunity to kind of work as a gaming presenter for Jinx TV, that esports TV that came up, and I was like, okay, I know games. I'll start in games, and I'll kind of evolve from there and go onwards from there and get into music. I'll get into X Factor down the line. I'll host American Idol one day. Not now, but down the line. This is just your grassroots right now. And here we are. And do you know what the crazy thing is? Way back when I first kind of started, I thought there's no, gaming is just for now, and I'll go into something else. But to see that now gaming is the space. Yeah. Like this is the space to be in, because it's just there's so many different avenues to it. It could be esports, it could be kind of doing, kind of content stuff online with different capacities as well. It just feels like one of those kind of ever evolving areas, because it kind of branches out into gadgets and tech. It branches into all these different areas, and it's freaking great to be part of. It's an amazing space, and I love the fact, Leven, as well. Like I still cannot believe, like, because as mates as well as like colleagues and stuff, to see things like that, because I know how, and I'm sure Ian's exactly the same, I know how massive a moment it is to have your name in like flesh in Hollywood Lads on Fortnite, and to have that is such a massive, bro. It'd be like someone giving me my own skin on Mario Kart, man. When I saw it, I was just buzzing, and it's because you're one of the good guys, and you like to see the good guys do well. I mean, I like to see it. I know it sounds like really cliched and generic, but I just like to see anybody within the sector that we work do well. Like it's great to see. Yeah. And this was a prime example of it. Seeing Leven get that, seeing Leven get picked up by the United stand. It's all systems go from here, Lev, bro. And I'm just buzzing for you, man.
Yeah. So look at you. You're up there doing your stuff in Valorant. Do you know what I mean? And I remember, we talked about this where, I turned on VCT and I'm like, oh my God, that's Ian, do you know what I mean? And
I'm doing it tomorrow. I'm nervous.
Literally,
we talk about it, Sav, about our imposter syndrome and not knowing as much as everybody else. It's like, okay, I'm staying up till 3 a.m. researching again tonight. Yeah. But that's why we do it.
We haven't even talked about you guys working together at Guild as well. I mean, that's pretty sick. Like that's the one that David Beckham's part of, right? Like he kind of owns part of the.
Yeah, I mean, we work for David Beckham.
You and Beck's just kicking back. I love it. But I mean, that must be quite cool, because Guild are going from strength to strength. Everything, they're one of those kind of orgs that you kind of see online are always kind of making great content. They're signing up great talent. It must be a cool thing to do, Leven, as well. Be part of like the Guild setup as well.
Yeah, no, working with Guild has been great. Honestly, great people. Like, I've even though I've not been in esports for long, I've dealt with orgs where I'm like, it's just a joke. Like, there's no way. Like, this is a serious setup. But working with Guild, it's been nothing but professional. But not just professional, it's been very personable. Do you know what I mean? I get along so well with everyone I've interacted with from Guild. Literally every single person I've ever interacted with from Guild, I just get along with them so well. And I think like, wow, like this is actually something special in terms of what they got going on. So being able to work with them, being able to work with Ian, through them has just been great, honestly. Yeah,
it is. It's growing rapidly. And like I remember, I just saw on Twitter the other day that it's been a year since their Rocket League team formed. And wow. Before Guild was even a thing, I got invited along to, I don't know how it happened, but play an acting role in the launch video to announce their Rocket League team. And I was like a Rocket League mechanic sort of.
We got to start somewhere, Ian. We got to start somewhere, bro.
I was just standing there going, what is going on? And then before you know it, I'm part of their first Rocket League broadcast, and then I'm doing Fortnite stuff and FIFA stuff. Like, I owe everything. If I'm being serious, Edge, for a second, like, I owe all the fresh opportunities that I've got over the last year have been courtesy of the work that I've done with Guild. So you're 100% bang on, Lev. Great team of people. Shout out in particular to the likes of Danny and Liam, just amazing people to work with. 100%. And yeah, Levin, I'm looking forward to me and you doing more broadcasts in the future, bro. We got something special coming very soon as well that involves trees in Fortnite.
Okay.
We obviously, I'm wrapping up soon, Lev. We started this thing last week, like out of nowhere, me and Ian. We thought it was quite a funny little thing that we could do like every week on the show. Well, ultimately, we tried, we did soap. I mean, I did badly, but Ian, describing the dungarees Mario was wearing just seemed like a completely needless exercise when it came to 30 seconds to describe the story of Mario. But what we were trying to do is break down a game's narrative, like the story of a game in 30 seconds. Now it's a fun little game we could play. Are you up for this, Leven, first and foremost?
Yes, definitely.
Right, Ian, what game?
Shall I get my timer up?
Yeah, get your timer up. Okay, Leven. Now we've talked about a few different games today. Is there any game that you would particularly want to try and break down in 30 seconds narrative-wise? Or we could give you one at random that you could try and break down for us.
If you give me one at random, I'm going to disappoint you. Because then you're going to be like, you've never played that?
Yeah. Okay, what game have you chosen?
You know what, yeah. It's a weird one because I didn't think I'd choose this game when I thought about this, but I think it's going to have to be Until Dawn, if you guys know that game.
Yes.
Okay,
I love this.
I'm into this.
Part of the Dark Anthology, right? I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Shall I count you in?
Count them in.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, let's go!
So there's this group of friends, right? There's this group of friends who go out on a, friendship holiday in the mountains of this, far away from home. Very, very far away from home. And what happens is on one of the first nights, one of the sisters, there's two sisters, one of the sisters goes missing. And what actually happens is, she's, been chased by something in the woods and she's actually, sadly passed away. She sadly passed away. So what happens is that next year they come back to do a reunion, in honor of her. And what happens is that there's all this creepy stuff going around. People are hearing noises, people are seeing things in the
30
woods.
30 seconds goes quick, baby.
Am I done already? No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Mate, it's
that goes
fast.
quick.
Yeah,
30 seconds.
I'll tell you what, Lev, right? I'm hooked, but I still don't know where we're going with that. So
that could be anything. I could have been talking about anything that you would not be able to know that was a game. Oh no.
Yeah, we got to sister sadly passes away. What you actually meant was falls down a cliffside and breaks her neck really horrifically. And then the next year they come back, but you didn't get onto the part where someone starts trying to kill everyone.
Yeah,
you missed the main crux of the story.
That wasn't.
Hey, at least you didn't describe any outfits or like mustaches or anything.
I was about to start.
You did better
Give
than
me 5 more seconds. I would have started describing outfits.
Yeah. But. So there's this guy called Mario with dungarees. His moustache is X amount of inches. He goes really deep. Really deep, needlessly deep. As we always say to all of our listeners and our viewers as well, let us know in the comments what games you'd love to see broken down in 30 seconds, because so far we are absolutely useless. Like it's so hard. Maybe we need to introduce maybe like a clock that we can all see at the same time, because I think that you would start to rush things a bit more. Yeah. When you can't see a timer, you're just like, I've got plenty of time. And actually, no, you really don't.
Yeah,
Leven, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, dude. Like we've loved this. Has been so much. We knew this was gonna be so much fun to have you, and it's been great to have you on, Ian. It's been a riot having our boy here.
Do you know what? It's our first guest, and it's going to be tough to follow up. Whoever comes after you, Lev, they've got a lot of pressure. They've got big shoes to fill. But Lev, just before we wrap things up, for anybody who maybe heard you for the first time on this podcast, where can they find you?
At Leven2K on all platforms. It's like the number 11, but without the E, and then 2K on the end. On everything: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, whatever it is.
That's what it's all about.
Sexiest voice in esports.
Yeah, that is right. He's mate, I love the fact you've got Leven2K on every single platform as well. Yeah. So lucky. Yeah. So good. Next week, LeBron James is on the show. No. Mate, thanks so much for being here. Guys, thank you for listening. And as always, do find us on YouTube, Savage Situation Podcast. It's all going to be there, highlights and the episode as well. Thank you for listening. Make sure to follow Leven, myself and Ian on all socials as well. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care and bye-bye for now.